Tim's got about like 20 minutes or so.
Okay, excellent.
So basically, the idea between the idea behind hybrid networking is we have good coverage today in the home with Wi-Fi. But everybody, as a practical matter, has gaps in coverage, places in your home you can't reach. If you have a large home, sometimes, or depending on building construction, you may or may not have 100% coverage. On the other hand, we have power line technology, which is extremely good, very reliable in terms of offering whole home coverage. It doesn't give you the mobility that wireless does. So basically, today, for example, if you want to add a second access point to your home, if you have something like a 4-port router, a wireless router, what you'd have to do is run an Ethernet cable from the router over to a second access point. And of course, people don't want to pull Ethernet cables in their homes. They simply want to do this as easily as possible. So what you can do today, the types of adapters we have, is you can plug in a wall device just like this. So that's a power line adapter right there. It'll have an Ethernet port on it. And so coming out of your 4-port router, you can put this wall wart in the wall. You can run an Ethernet cable to the nearest wall outlet. And then at the nearest outlet where you want to install the second access point, for example, you simply have another outlet, brings the Ethernet cable back off power line, goes into that access point, and now you've got a remoted access point. That was kind of the genesis of this. It's one of the applications that power line was used on early on. And power line has proven to be very, very resilient and reliable. A number one application for power line today, home plug technology today, is video distribution in Europe through service providers. So we sell through highly knowledgeable customers. They go through extensive field trials before they deploy. And there are service providers in Europe, for example, that have 100% attach rate for power line communications on their set-top boxes for IPTV. So what they do is they sell you a set-top box, and the device comes out of the set-top box, goes into the wall on power line, and wherever the television set is, the Ethernet comes off and goes into the Ethernet port that's fairly common on high-end TVs now. So that's the genesis of it. We're actually integrating this more now. We're developing custom solutions that actually will do bridging from power line to wireless. We're creating access points actually that just, rather than having an Ethernet cable come out of the wall or come off the power line adapter and into your access point, we're now simply putting up an access point you plug into the wall, you leave it there, and now boom, you've got a second access point wherever you drop that thing on the floor. So the idea between hybrid networking is used a combination of wired and power line communications and wireless, and by that we mean Wi-Fi. They give you great, robust coverage throughout the home. It will give you reliable coverage or reliable throughput for video distribution. And also what we're focusing on now is smart grid. We're doing a lot of energy management. What we have is we got a grant from the U.S. Department of Energy to develop a version of Home Plug that's specific for smart grid applications. Much of the work, incidentally, is being done in our Toronto Design Center. But again, the work is done. The object is we have the same reliability and robust coverage that Home Plug offers, but because a lot of smart energy applications don't require the same high data rates you need for video distribution, we can take a lot of cost and take power consumption out of it. So we're coming out with a much reduced, in terms of cost and power consumption, equivalent of Home Plug adapters and Home Plug technology for embedded applications to enable smart grid. So I have interest from meter manufacturers now. We go into appliance manufacturers. So we're moving from typical CE, which is video and networking equipment, into things now that are like appliances, meters, pool pumps, for example, and in particular thermostats, HVAC, heating, ventilating, and air conditioning, HVAC thermostats. The reason that's so important is the thermostat is an easy, low-cost upgrade, and most times you can just pull them off the wall and put on a new one. And now you've upgraded your entire AC system really just for the price of a smart thermostat. You don't have to replace any of the compressors, the air handlers, any of that stuff. Boom, you've got a smart system just by virtue of the fact you put a smart thermostat on the wall. Home Plug is proven to be very reliable because it can go straight from the meter, over the power line, through the 24-volt drop-down transformer, straight to the smart thermostat. So basically that's the value proposition between hybrid networking.
What about in terms of management? I mean, it comes down usually for the consumer to the user interface.
Right.
And yeah, I was curious if you can show us or give us a little bit of a demo.
We'll give a demo.
Like.
We have a hybrid networking demo. But usually when you configure these devices, for example, okay, I want to install them in my home. Okay, we sell them in pairs, or I should say some of our customers sell them in pairs, and they're pre-matched passwords. So one of the big return issues we have is, like in many cases, consumer networking equipment is just configuring the thing. We sell them in a default pre-configured with a pre-randomized password, and really if you don't need to change it, you just want to do an Ethernet cable replacement, you put one on the wall, you put the other one on the wall, you put the Ethernet cables in, and you're online. They're matched. Now, if you want to extend your network, what happens when you want to put a third or fourth one in there? Well, the other thing that you can do is you put the third one in, you launch a browser, and you go with a laptop or something, and you'll go into the Ethernet interface. You can bring up a web browser, and you can enter the password. So if you don't like, for example, you could use your favorite pet's name, for example. You can go in through a web browser, and you can configure these things with a shared password, and they will all then generate a random key for the data that's encrypted on the power line. We never send out an unencrypted packet. They all have a pre-matched password so that they know they can talk to each other. And from there, they generate a common key, and that's shared throughout the power line network. So it's good. It's easily configured. There is a basic web browser for user interface, and it's secure. And we have a very, very low return rate because consumers find it so easy to configure. That's the biggest thing in consumer electronics. Very often the technology works okay, but people have a heck of a time configuring it.
Just send it back.
What's that?
Yeah. Just send it back.
And so you get a high return rate. We have a very, very low return rate through retail, and essentially a zero return rate through some of our service provider embedded devices that we sell through set-top boxes. So if you